For background text, I was with my dad at this time. I was around 13, maybe 14. I was visiting him for a week with his girlfriend. He took me and my sister somewhere a little too secluded for comfort. I honestly thought we were going to get murdered because we did not have a great relationship with him, and he raised his fist at me more than once. That wasn't what happened though, thankfully. He actually took us to see some collapsed sinkholes near this abandoned stable. And I am talking no farm, no barn, no fence, just something you would keep horses in. There was a creek nearby which was pretty cool. I had a sketchbook with me, and I carried this sketchbook literally everywhere, no matter what. We sat at a picnic table with a little overhead over it. You know, the ones you see at National Park. Anyway, I sat there, drawing for a bit until my dad got impatient, as well as my sister, and wanted to go show us the sinkholes, which I now know was so dangerous and it's not even funny. So I closed my sketchbook and put my pencil inside the loops. We were out for quite a bit, and my dad, more than once, acted like he would shove us in the sinkholes. There was quite a lot of them, and I'm surprised one actually didn't collapse right beneath us. When we were ready to head back, I went to grab my sketchbook. There it was, laid open, right smack dab middle of the papers. It was opened in like the middle. My dad noticed it too. We went to check it out since we were a few feet away. The pencil was on the far side of the picnic table, and there was only a half-finished face there. My dad stated that he thought I closed my sketchbook and put the pencil in the loops. I told him I did. Now, there was a fan overhead, so we were gonna try to see if it flipped the papers. But not only was it not turned on, the switch didn't even work. My stomach dropped, and I told my dad I wanted to leave. I quickly grabbed my sketchbook and we quite literally peeled out of there. The thing that disturbs me most was that it wasn't even my style. Like, I didn't draw it. I wasn't even halfway through the sketchbook. The more I looked at the unfinished face, the more it started to look like me. I ended up tearing it out and ripping it to bits. I didn't tell anyone that I didn't draw it. It was something I didn't want to bring up. But now that I think about it, I honestly feel someone was probably out there watching us the whole time, and they wanted me to know. One night, I woke up on my couch in the living room. I got up to go to the bathroom by opening a wood sliding door that led to the office. I walked over to a door that led to the dining room. I closed it, but when I did, I thought I saw a head peeping out from the basement stairs. I freaked out, but I thought maybe I was just seeing things. I went to the bathroom and heard something. I finished up and opened the door. My mom was downstairs. She got her laptop and started working. I sat on the couch thinking about what I saw. I closed my eyes and then heard the door swing open and then a loud bang and clatter from the basement. Before I could get off the couch, I heard footsteps running up the carpet basement steps. My mom freaked out, and then it got to the top of the stairs. I shut the sliding door and put my finger over my lips to shush my mom. It was silent. 5 seconds later, we heard more running. It stopped behind the sliding door. You couldn't see behind it though. Then, I heard my brother running downstairs. The sliding door opened, and my brother ran into the bathroom with a bat. My brother ran into him and whacked him in the head and swung it at him. The man was screaming. My mom was on the phone with 911. My brother pinned him on the ground. The police showed up and arrested the man. They searched the house and the basement. Items were knocked all over the basement floor. I just can't stop thinking about the moment when the man was behind the door. A couple of years back, when I was 17 years old, I was really big into Snapchat. I was kind of obsessed with building my Snap score, so I would add random friends and accept random requests to do so. One day, I really needed a ride to a pawn shop to sell something. So I posted on my story if anyone was able to pick me up and take me. I was more so expecting a close friend to respond and give me a ride, but I got a text from some girl I had never talked before. She was my friend on Snapchat, but we had never had a single conversation or shared any pictures back and forth before. She texted me something along the lines of,
So, where are you heading?
I replied to her saying that I needed a ride to a pawn shop. I then proceeded to ask her if she even lived in the same state, which she did. But the place she said she lived was 2 hour drive from me. I told her not to worry about it and I didn't want her to drive 2 hours to take me to a pawn shop. She replied with,
I mean, as long as you have the gas money, it's cool. I'm bored anyway.
For some reasons, that didn't sit well in my gut, and I added again that it was okay. But she insisted, so I agreed that she could come pick me up if she was willing to send me a picture of herself. I was just being cautious. She did so, and then asked me what my address was. Now, I've always been a cautious person, so I didn't feel comfortable with sharing my address. I ended up giving her the address to a gas station that was about a 15-minute walk away from my house. She replied that she would be on her way shortly. I sat there, contemplating for a solid 5 minutes or so. Hey, I'm sorry. My friend just pulled up out of nowhere and he's gonna take me. Sorry for the inconvenience. Maybe we can still chill sometime? My friend wasn't there. I didn't want to chill with her later. I just had a really bad feeling in my gut to not go through with it. The fact that she was willing to drive for 2 hours to pick up someone she never met before just didn't sit right with me. About a year later, I was 18 and working at a grocery store. I took my lunch break and went out to my car to eat. I ended up getting a text on Facebook from a friend, which led me to hop onto Facebook and scroll just through my feed. I passed a news story that had one of those attachments because it was sourced on a different website. I always scrolled past them, but I had caught a glimpse of whoever was on the cover of the article and scrolled back up again because they looked somewhat familiar. When I scrolled back up, I got chills. It was the girl from my Snapchat a year prior. The headline of the attachment stated that she was arrested for attempted murder. I know that there is a possibility that she wasn't a bad person before, and something just happened to make her attempt such thing. But something tells me that I dodged a major bullet by trusting my gut and not going with her. I made friends with a stranger from the internet. Every time we hang out, something bad happened. Being robbed, almost assaulted, a shooting right outside the restaurant we ate at, and more. We stopped going out and started hanging out at home. I began taking anxiety medication at this point and kept it a secret. My internet friend has known me for 2 years now. We are hanging out at my place and they asked me to be alone for a few minutes to make a call. They go into my room because it was storming outside. They were in for a minute, so I had to check on them. They come out and ask if I have any alcohol. They pour me a generous shot of tequila. It was strange. It was a whole cup, but I'm quite a drinker, and they poured themselves one too. That evening, when they got home, I took my prescribed medication and nearly had a heart attack and blacked out. Apparently, I was able to went to the hospital and everything. When I was released, I came home and took my medication again. Same thing happened, and I started shaking and convulsing. At this point, I found crushed pills behind my dresser and noticed my medication is covered with a thick white dust. And the same dust is on the medical marijuana I have. It is crushed up Xanax. They found my medication when they were in my room. I immediately drank a half-gallon of milk and so much water. I blacked out again and don't remember much. Over the next few days, I found out that I've been hanging out with my friends with benefits, significant other. They tampered my meds and poured me the drink that evening to kill me. The whole time we've been friends, they're gathering information about the person they're being cheated on with, which is me, and I had no idea. The combined sedation from these two addictive substances can lead to a life-threatening respiratory depression and coma. I had to flush all of my medicines and pay for refills. My psychiatrist luckily believed me after seeing me for some time now. I'm on the road to recovery with new traumas. My friend tried to kill me and made it look like a drug overdose. I have changed some things to remain anonymous. It was the summer of 2008. I was 15. Me and my 3 friends live in a small town with not many busy streets. During the summer nights, we would hang out by this old shed near one of the back roads in our town. We usually would smoke weed behind the shed and get stoned. The first few weeks of the summer were weird. We had seen a guy for a few weeks in what looked like a late 90s Toyota minivan pull up on the side of the road near the shed. When we see him on the side of the road, he would never get out of his vehicle, he would just sit there. One night on a Saturday, we did the same thing. As usual, we went to the shed, got stoned. When the same guy in the minivan pulled up, we didn't think anything of it. About 30 minutes passed by, we hear a car door open and close, and hear footsteps close by. We saw the guy walking towards us. Me and my friends had started to walk the opposite direction, and as soon as we did, the guy had started to run. Me and my friends booked it back to my house. My house is only a block away. While we were running, I had got a glimpse of the guy. He was middle-aged and looked homeless. We had run until we reached my house, adrenaline running through our veins. When we got inside, my mom was at work. We locked the door and heard knocking. We called the police, and when they arrived, the dude was gone. The police asked us for a description, and I told them what he looked like and what car he drives. Apparently, he had been seen with little kids that went missing. We had told my mom, and she wouldn't let us go back to the shed. Update: the guy has not been caught to this day. This happened in 2001. I was 8, my sister was 6, and my cousin who was babysitting us was 12. My sister and I lived with our mom in an apartment complex, right across from a funeral home. It was just us 3 living there. My baby cousin died that year, and my mom went to the funeral, which happens to be at the funeral home, right across from the apartment complex. My mom didn't want my sister and I to go, as we were too young for something like that, so she asked our cousin to babysit us while she went to the funeral. I remember the details so clearly. My sister and I were sitting on the floor watching Austin Powers. My cousin was in the kitchen, which was only 5 steps away, making us something to eat. We heard a knock at the door, and my cousin looked through the peephole and saw nothing. She walks away and goes back into the kitchen. When the doorknob starts trying to turn open, thankfully the door was locked. She looks through the peephole again and sees a man pointing a gun at the peephole. She, trying her best to be calm, to not scare my sister and I, grabs us all knives. I remember they varied in size, and she has the biggest knife. I had the middle one, and my sister has the smallest. We stood at the door watching the knob wiggle and turn as whoever the man was who's trying to get inside. My cousin called my mom, telling her what she saw, and she didn't believe her and was saying it was just the landlord. But because my mom was at a funeral, my cousin didn't try to convince her that she wasn't lying. As soon as she was about to call the police, it stopped. She looked out the peephole and sees the man running down the stairs. It's been 19 years, and when we talk about what happened, no one believes us. But we all know what happened and what we saw. My dad used to work at a homeless shelter. He usually just helps them find jobs and such. When I had to go with them, they left me in a room with a bunch of Disney VHS movies, with some printout coloring pages with a lot of colored pencils. So a lot of these people were drug addicts, or recovering, that or schizophrenic. I was there because my dad left something there, but I wanted to go to my room, which the nice lady there called the room. My dad was talking to this woman outside the door, which was closed. Then the door locks. All I could hear was screaming crying outside. The knob shook, and I walked over to unlock the door. but my gut told me that if I did, it would not be good. So then a guy began to bang the door, screaming for me and calling me baby girl. The police came, and I didn't know what to do when I heard a very loud gunshot, followed by my dad screaming for them to stop shooting due to me being behind the door. He stabbed the woman who had used her keys to lock me in the room and did not make it. I was okay in the end, but I just remember a very nice cop opening the door and covering my eyes while they took me outside to an ambulance. Rest in peace, Miss Rose, and thank you for saving my life. I am eternally grateful. Homeless man, let's not meet again.